What's up guys, welcome back to On the Brick with another custom LEGO review. Today I have for you what is to me one of the more iconic ships of the original trilogy, the Nebulon-B Frigate. Specifically the Redemption created by LDiEgo. At least I assume that's how his name is said, so if I'm wrong, my bad. Now LDiEgo originally uploaded this set onto LEGO Ideas first back in 2013 and then again in 2015. Unfortunately, neither time it reached 10,000 supporters. And at least partly because of that, the instructions for this set are still available for free, and as always, the link for that can be found in the description down below. And having built this set, well, it's not my favorite. And to be honest, if it had reached 10,000 supporters, beyond just being from Star Wars, I think there are some serious flaws with this set which would have prevented it from being approved. But before I get into all of that, there are still some really good things about this set too. First and foremost is just how it looks. As a display piece, this thing is perfectly fine. It looks just like the Nebulon-B Frigate, and LDiEgo did a really good job of capturing how that ship looks. This looks like something the Rebel Alliance would use. And it even manages to include a 2-scale Millennium Falcon as well. I'm personally a fan of how smooth most of this ship looks. I always think that not showing studs is better most of the time, and despite some frustrations that I'm going to get into, most of the building for this set was actually pretty good. And if we take a closer look, you can see kind of what I mean. There are a lot of details on this, even if you can see some problematic areas. For the most part, LDiEgo did a really good job of making this look as rugged and as thrown together as the actual Nebulon-B Frigate does. And, you know, it worked out. This thing does look really, really good. The center of the ship here doesn't have too much to it. There's some greebling and some translucent tiles to give the impression of hangar areas. The back is definitely the biggest problem, so we're going to look at that a little bit later. And I did get a custom sticker to go with this, as I do with all of my custom builds. Now, one thing I wanted to mention is that the dimensions I got for this are different than what LDiEgo has listed on his ideas page. My measurements came in at 25 inches long, about 12 inches high, and just under 5 inches wide, which is similar to what LDiEgo has listed, but instead of 12 inches high, he has 7, and I'm not sure what he is counting there. So why did I say that this set was not my favorite? What is wrong with this set, and why is it bad, quote unquote? To start with what is easily like the most petty thing, it's the base. It could look a lot better than it really does. Now, functionally, this thing works perfectly fine. It holds the ship perfectly, and whenever you need to move it around, there's no danger of it falling. But aesthetically, well, it's got these open areas here that you can see the tan. I am missing a piece there as well, and it just could have been cleaned up a bit more. I will also mention that at the front here, you can see this slope with the jumper on top, and it's supposed to be lined up to the bottom of this ship. They're supposed to connect. I don't know if I built something wrong, but when I went over the instructions again, I could not figure out how to fix this thing, because the back of the ship is built in a certain way that does not allow me to move this any further back. And if we continue on to the actual ship itself, well, this part is actually really unstable. I had a lot of issues trying to figure these things out in here. One thing is that like the entire side panel here is a single build that you then plaster on when you're done, which is kind of hard to do once you built the rest of this section. Also on the very bottom here, this black section, though it's done very well, I had a lot of trouble fitting it in there. I actually had to go ahead and take this tan part, take it off, put the black thing in, and then put the tan part back on. Another thing is that I built this entire tower section, I don't actually know what this part is called, and then had to connect it to the entire body, which is really difficult to do because of how it connects. It would be much smarter to start with the top and then build down. But speaking of the top, this thing is actually, despite looking really good, also a little unstable while building specifically. All these antennas on the top are gonna fall off. This on the side fell off a lot, and the ones on the front fell off all the time. Now that it's done, they don't too much, but during building they did. The biggest problem are these hinges up here, because this is how the sides are done, and oh boy, they do not stay. They're supposed to be lifted up so you can see inside, and that's where this set tends tends to fall apart a lot. Because for some reason, LDiEgo decided that this wasn't just going to be a display UCS set, he wanted this to have play features, which unfortunately means sacrificing stability. So this front with these hinges fell off on me so many times during building that I'm not even going to show you what's on the inside through my pictures. I'm going to use what LDiEgo has uploaded so that you can see, because I'm not going to take the risk of this falling apart on me yet again. And what you can see in the pictures that he uploads is honestly not much. It's not really worth having this entire area just be open and unstable for a chair and a medical droid, especially because people who are going to be getting this aren't the people who are going to be playing with it, really. So I think it would have worked a lot better to have this just be a display piece and not even worry about the play features at all. When I built this set, I built the front and the back as two separate things and then put them together, which actually worked out really well because the center is easily the most stable part of this entire build. I have seen some other videos where people had issues putting the two parts together, but I'll be honest, I had zero issues at all doing that. And the stability issues continue in the back, most prominently with this thing here that's hanging down, and it's supposed to be hanging up like this. And this is the first time I've managed to get it to do that since building this set, which really surprised me because, believe me, I have tried. And you can also just see how open it is back here, how honestly ugly it looks, and for no real reason. There's just holes back here, and a lot of it is because there's no inside there to make any of this have any clutch or be stable at all. And if we zoom in on it, it doesn't get better. This back part is a mess that would honestly need a lot of work before ever turning into a real set. So what's the culprit this time? What play feature was added here? Yep. I'm not really certain why something that was never on the Nebulon-B Frigate would be included either, so I didn't build this. But wanting to include that led to the back just being a mess. Like, there's a lot of open spaces here. You can see that hinge has only one side actually attached, which in itself is already a problem because those hinges are notoriously bad. But also because when I was trying to actually build the top here, there was nothing underneath it to be able to clutch onto or for me to be able to support from underneath to actually put the pieces together, which led to the back falling apart a lot. When just like the front, having a solid interior built to actually be able to hold this structurally sound would have made far more sense. But another upside is that the engines look really good. They're both structurally sound and made very, very well. I've had zero issues with them at all. Now, despite the severe structural problems leading to stability issues in this set, it wasn't actually that bad. The building process took about a day and a half, building over about 8 hours maybe. It really wasn't that bad at all. Like I said, it went together fairly well. Even the troublesome parts at the front of the ship I was able to figure out quite easily, and when it's all said and done, the display piece looks really, really good. And since the instructions are completely free, and it's not just the instructions but also like an LDD file, if you really want to, you can just go in there, get rid of anything you don't like, and make this much more structurally sound before building it, which is something that I would highly recommend doing. Now, there is one small problem with the instructions, and that is that it is just an LDD file. However, unlike a place like Jorstad where you would have to pay $15 for something like this, as I've said, you can go to the link right now and download this no problem for free. Also, the same place you can get the instructions for this are where you can find any and all custom UCS stickers. I've personally bought all of mine from this guy because he is just the best. His prices are fair, his customer service is wonderful, and he ships as fast as he can when shipping something like this. And not to mention that it's not just Star Wars, it's a little bit of everything. Like, really, if there's anything LEGO out there, he probably has a sticker for it. And if he doesn't, you can always ask. Also, in regards to the Mini Falcon, there's not much to say about it. It is really good, but it's just there. Despite the problems, I'm actually very happy to have this thing because I've just been using it as a display piece, and with that, it works very, very well. And if you've been looking for a set that LEGO has never made, or if you've been looking for a Nebulon-B Frigate, this is one I would highly recommend, partly because the instructions are free, partly because it's not too expensive to put together, and partly because if you really want to, you can modify this to be a lot better than it already is. So thank you for watching. Let me know what your thoughts on this set are in the comments down below. Do you want LEGO to make a Nebulon-B Frigate. I know they had that vote earlier this year, but I'm just wondering what you think. And if you liked what you saw, please hit the like button down below, as that does really help me out a lot. If you want to see more, remember to subscribe and ring that bell so you know every time that I upload. But before I go, if this wasn't the worst custom set that I own, what was? Yeah, I'm gonna do an update video.